Have you ever been in an elevator mindlessly watching the numbers light up when it suddenly stops on a floor you didn't press? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? The doors slide open, and for a brief moment, you're looking into a space you weren't meant to see. Most of the time, it's nothing. Someone gets on, someone gets off. But what if one day it wasn't? What if the doors opened to something unexpected? Today, we're diving into some chilling, mysterious, and downright bizarre stories from people who experience just that. These aren't just technical glitches. These are moments that defy easy explanation. We're talking about elevators that seem to have a mind of their own, stopping at floors that hold forgotten secrets or fleeting glimpses into another time. So, buckle up. Make sure you know where the stairs are, and let's explore what happens when the elevator stops at a floor you never intended to visit. Let's start with a classic story that has circulated in various forms online. It comes from a security guard named Marcus, who worked the night shift in a historic hotel downtown. This place was beautiful, all velvet ropes and polished brass, but it had a reputation. Guests would often complain about strange noises, and staff whispered stories about its long history. Marcus was a skeptic, a see-it-to-believe-it kind of guy. One night, around 3 a.m., he was doing his rounds. The hotel was dead quiet. He got into one of the old, ornate elevators to go from the lobby to the top floor. He pressed 12. The elevator began its slow, groaning ascent. 2, 3, 4. Then it shuddered to a halt. The light for the 7th floor was on. Marcus hadn't pressed it. He figured someone must have called it just as the doors closed. The doors creaked open. The 7th floor hallway was empty and dark, except for the emergency lights casting long shadows. It was a guest floor, but this wing was closed for renovations. No one should have been there. A cold draft swept into the elevator car, smelling of dust and something faintly floral like old perfume. Marcus called out, "Hello, security!" Silence. He held the door close button, a little unnerved. The doors slowly slid shut, and the elevator continued its journey up to the 12th floor. He tried to brush it off. Faulty wiring, maybe. But for the rest of his shift, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Later that week, he was talking to one of the older maintenance workers, a man who had been with the hotel for 40 years. Marcus mentioned the elevator stopping on the 7th floor. The old man's face went pale. He told Marcus that decades ago, a woman had lived in a suite on that floor. She was a recluse, and the only time anyone saw her was when she'd briefly step out into the hallway, waiting for an elevator that never seemed to come for her. She passed away in that suite, and since then, staff members have reported the elevators making phantom stops on the 7th floor, the doors opening to an empty hall, as if still waiting to pick her up. Marcus wasn't a skeptic anymore after that. That story sends a shiver down your spine, doesn't it? The idea of a machine carrying the memory of a person's longing is both sad and creepy. But not all of these stories are about ghosts. Some are just weird. This next one comes from a user on a forum dedicated to unexplained mysteries. Let's call her Clara. She was an intern at a huge modern corporate skyscraper. One evening, she was working late to finish a project. Around 10 p.m., she packed up and headed for the elevators. The building was a ghost town. She pressed the button for the ground floor, G. The elevator was one of those smart elevators. You punch in your floor, and it directs you to a specific car. She got in, alone. The doors closed, and the descent began. 50, 49, 48. Then it stopped abruptly at floor 22. The doors opened. Now, floor 22 was completely empty. It was a shell. The company hadn't leased it out yet, so it was just bare concrete floors, exposed pipes on the ceiling, and windows looking out into the city lights. There was absolutely no reason for the elevator to stop there. There were no call buttons active on the floor itself. Clara stared out into the dark, empty space. She could hear a faint, rhythmic tapping sound coming from the far end of the floor. Tap, tap, tap. It sounded like someone tapping a pen on a desk, but there were no desks. Just a vast, empty expanse. A wave of pure dread washed over her. She frantically jabbed the door close button. The doors felt like they were closing in slow motion. As they were about to shut, she saw a flicker of movement in the reflection on the glass, a dark shape deep within the unlit floor. The doors finally closed, and the elevator continued down to the lobby without another stop. She ran out of that building and never worked late alone again. What was on that floor? Was it a squatter? A prank? Or was it something that wasn't supposed to be seen in the empty, forgotten spaces of a modern high-rise? It's one thing for an elevator to stop on an empty floor, but what if it stops on a floor that shouldn't even exist? This is where things get really strange. This account is from a delivery driver in a sprawling hospital complex. Hospitals are already eerie places at night, with their long, sterile corridors and hushed quiet. The driver, let's call him Ben, had a late-night delivery of medical supplies. He was given a pass key to access the service elevators in the hospital's oldest wing. He had to get to the basement storage. He got into the service elevator, which was old and rickety. The panel was simple. Floors B, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. He pressed B for the basement. The elevator started to go down, but then it stopped. The indicator light above the door didn't show a B or a G. It was just a dimly lit, unlabeled button that was now glowing. The doors opened. Ben looked out and felt his blood run cold. He wasn't in the basement. He was looking at a floor that looked like a hospital ward from the 1950s. The walls were a sickly green, the floor was checkered linoleum, and there was an old-fashioned nurse's station with a rotary phone sitting on it. It looked real. Not like a movie set, but like a place that was actively in use, just frozen in time. There were no people, but there was a profound sense of presence. He could hear the faint, distant sound of a page being called over an old speaker system, the voice muffled and indistinct. The air was thick with the smell of antiseptic and something else, something metallic. He was completely frozen, staring at this impossible place. He knew the hospital's layout, and this floor wasn't on any of the blueprints. It simply didn't exist. After what felt like an eternity, the elevator doors began to close on their own. Ben stumbled back, his heart pounding in his chest. The elevator then continued down to the basement as if nothing had happened. He delivered the supplies in a haze and got out of there as fast as he could. He asked a security guard about it, trying to sound casual, asking if there was an old, unused ward anywhere. The guard just gave him a weird look and said no, all the old wings had been completely gutted and modernized years ago. Ben never took another late-night shift at that hospital. He was convinced that for a few seconds, the elevator had taken him to a place that was no longer part of our time. These stories make you think, don't they? We treat elevators like simple machines, boxes that take us from point A to point B. But they are also liminal spaces, thresholds between places. And sometimes, it seems, they can stop at destinations not on our map. Whether it's a lingering spirit, a glitch in the system revealing a hidden space, or even a slip in time itself, these encounters leave a lasting impression. They remind us that mystery can be found in the most mundane parts of our daily lives. The next time you step into an elevator and it stops on an unexpected floor, take a quick look. You never know what might be waiting for you when the doors slide open. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you have a similar story, I would love to read it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration of the unexplained. Stay curious and stay safe.